I request all of you, please write on the chat box, not in the question or and answer format, right? Bharat Jindal, please, if you have any questions, please write on the chat box. Right, so start with the question number 39, right? So this was completely and easy question to solve. It is a must attempt. There are 2-3 ways of solving this question. Okay, it is given there that there is a rectangle PQRS. There is a point M on PQ such that this angle is 90 degree, right? So this is given as 6 and this is 8. You need to find the area of the rectangle. Okay, there are 2-3 things. One is Pythagoras theorem. You can apply this in this theorem. This is angle is 90 degree. Okay, so if you know the Pythagorean triplet of 3, 4, 5, so 6 and 8 are the double of this. So double of this will become 6, 8, 10. That means without using Pythagoras, I can say that this SR has to be 10 only. If you know the Pythagorean triplet, you need not to apply the Pythagoras theorem in any of the exams. 13. The questions which are based on Pythagoras theorem are of either of these 5 or the multiple of these, right? So you can straight away use these as a in a rectangle triangle, right? Okay, so this is 10. Now we can assume height is h. I can say the area of the triangle is half base into height, that is half into 10 into h, right? But because this angle is also 90, so I can also assume that QR is the base. QR is the base, so SQ will become the height. So I can also say this is nothing but half into 6 into 8. Okay, so this gives you h is nothing but 4.8. So you get the answer as 10 into 4.8. This is one approach, right? Second, you can use the similarity theorem also, right? Similar triangles property, but that is a lengthy process, so we should not do this. In any angle between same height and same base. So the area by this property here, area of triangle SMR has to be the half of the rectangle. And area of triangle SMR can be calculated using this formula. So half 6 into 8 is 24. So you can just double of it. So that is 48 is the answer. This is the best approach. Any doubt on this? Anyone? Shall I move on? Next question. Okay. Second is an easy question. There are 2 black and 3 white balls. So Neil draws 2 balls one after another randomly without replacement from the bag. Find the probability there are 2 balls drawn from the white. So there are 2 balls drawn one after another without replacement. So if I draw the first ball, so the probability of getting the first ball as white is nothing but 3 by 5. There are total 5 balls and 3 balls are white. So favorable case are 3 and total number of cases 5. Total 4 balls are there. And because 1 is already withdrawn, so the remaining white balls are 2. So the probability of second ball as white is nothing but 2 by 4, which gives you answer as 0.3. This is a completely easy question, so definitely it should be done. Okay. Now if I change the question, for example, if I say, here it is saying that you draw the 2 balls without replacement, right? But if I say that if I draw the 2 balls simultaneously, not one after another, right? So what should be the answer? So if I draw the ball simultaneously and the probability of getting both balls are white is nothing but the favorable case will be 3C2 upon total number of cases 5C2. This will be the answer in case of when the 2 balls are drawn simultaneously. Devendra is asking why to multiply, not adding them. Because whenever we do 2 things one after another, right? So probability will always be multiplied. Addition will happen only when the 2 events are not dependent on each other. Here the first dependent events, we have to multiply this. Okay, so 1 ball is there and then second ball is withdrawn. You always multiply these type of things. When you add, there are, for example, in a card cases, okay, if I ask the probability of 1 card is drawn, the probability of getting either a red card or let's say, no, not red, if I say either a king or queen. Okay, so 4 by 13 plus 4 by 13. Now we will add because this is the term as OR. Devendra, clear? But here it is not mentioned this is OR, right? It is AND. First ball भी आपको white चाहिए और second ball भी white चाहिए, तो multiply करना पड़ेगा. Right. So मैं बोल रहा था आपको the 3C2 upon 5C2 will be the answer if the 2 balls are drawn simultaneously. But if you solve it, you will get the answer as 3 into 2 upon 2 factorial upon 5 into 4 upon 2 factorial. This will be cancelled out, which is nothing but 3 into 2 by 5 into 4. And the answer is exactly same as this. That means in either of the question, without replacement, one after another is equivalent to drawing the ball simultaneously. Answer will be always same. Clear to all of you? Let's move on to the next question. Right, this is again an easy question. PQ is the diameter of a 90 Pythagorean triplets. This is again 6 and 8. The answer has to be 10 only. Without using Pythagoras, I can say this is 10, right? So radius becomes 5. He is asking for the perimeter of the semicircle. The perimeter is nothing but the length of the boundary. Which comprises of this semicircle as well as the diameter. So my answer is nothing but 10, which is the diameter, plus half of the circumference. Total circumference is 2 pi r. Half of that is nothing but pi r. R is 5. That the answer is 10 plus 5 pi, which is the right answer. Right? Not to do much about this. It's a very easy question. AP, right? Okay, the sum of first 3 terms in an AP is 45. Whenever you assume 3 terms in an AP, It has to be A minus D, A and A plus D. Always remember it. Ankit, what is the doubt there? Ankit has a doubt. Which question, Ankit? Yeah, 41. What is the doubt? Answer is given as option D, which is wrong. See the solution, there it is given as B. There's a printing mistake in the answer key. Okay, Ankit? Ankit, right answer is B only. Right, so 42. So three numbers in AP, we will assume at A minus D, A and A plus D, right? Because sometimes the sum is given and even if the product is given, it is always easy to add these numbers or as in fact multiply also. When you multiply these three numbers, you can use the formula of A minus D into A plus D. So multiplying is also easy as well as adding of these three numbers are also easy. So he is saying that three terms are of AP are in summation of these terms is 45. So A minus D plus A plus D is nothing but 45, gives you nothing but A is equal to 15. Now product of these three numbers is what? A into A minus D into A plus D is equal to 3000. So gives you A is 15. You can use the formula A minus D into A plus D, which is A square minus D square. It's nothing but 225 minus D square is 3000. Gives you D as D square as 25 and D is nothing but plus minus 5. Okay. Now, when you get D as plus minus 5, there are two possibilities. If I take A as 15 and D as 5, so if I put the values here, I get the numbers as 10, 15 and 20. Case 2, if I take D as minus 5, I'll get the numbers as 15, so 20, 15 and 10. Seventh term we need to find. Seventh term is nothing but A plus 60. A plus n into D. So if I put it here, it is nothing but 10 plus 6 into 5 is nothing but 40. And if I put it here, so 20 plus 6 into minus 5 is nothing but minus 10. So I have two answers, 10, minus 10 or 40. All of you clear with this? Manas, we will discuss RC and logical reasoning later in the later part, right? So question number 17 will be done later. Now we have a shortcut here. If you see the options after this step, when we have D as plus minus 5, can I be sure that I have definitely two answers? Because if I take plus 5, I will get one answer. If I take minus 5, I will get another answer. So there has to be two answers. So if there are two answers, my answer has to be this only. There is no need to solve it because there is only one option which talk about two options, two answers. Am I getting it? All of you clear or not? If I am sure that there are two answers, so the option must talk about that only. There is only one option which talk about two answers. So that has my answer. Data distance is out of the scope. Right? If there are two options, like one of the options states 10 or minus 40, then definitely I have to solve it. But as of now, I can take the help of options. Okay? So after this step, you need not to solve it in the actual exam, right? Okay, moving on. 43. Maximum number of identical pieces that can be obtained from the square sheet of paper is torn 5 times without folding. Okay. So there is a square sheet. You have to torn it 5 times. and you have to find the maximum number of identical pieces, right? Now, one person can straight away do this thing, that 5 straight lines. This gives you 6 pieces only, right? But if I do like this, there are 4 straight lines, and if I cut it here, now this gives you 10 identical pieces. So even if someone is thinking on this way, I am getting an answer as 10, right? So 6, 4 and 8 are less than that. So even if you stuck after this, you can straight away mark the answer as 12, because 10 is already I'm getting. Answer has to be 12 in that case, right? And how do we get the answer? Again, if I distribute this as 3 and 2, 3 lines in this way and 2 lines in this way. So I'll get 4 into 3, 12 pieces. Okay. Now, always remember in this type of question, if you need to find the maximum number of pieces, distribute 5 in 2 parts which are almost equal. So 2 and 3 gives you the maximum number of cases always. If we need to find, instead of 5, it is given as 6 times. The maximum number of pieces you will get only when you do 3 plus 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, if there are 7 times, so 4 and 3. If there are 8 times, then 4 and 4. This will always give you the maximum values, maximum number of pieces. Okay, so instead of 5, anything is given, you can find the answer easily now. Just make sure that the 2 parts should be as close as possible. Ankit is asking, will this be valid only for square? Not exactly. It will be for rectangle also. Okay. (44). The answer of this question is given wrong, right? Ankit is asking, but if their parts may or may not be identical. Let's again do not create any problem in case of square as well as rectangle. The maximum number of cuts, the maximum number of parts you will get only when you distribute the 2 parts as close as possible, right, Ankit? Right. So 44 question is solved wrongly in your solution book. The correct answer is 7:4, not none of these. Okay, I'll explain you why. In the solution, it is assuming that the ratio of milk and water, the 2 mixtures, are X and Y, right? So if I assume the first mixture is X liter and second mixture is X liter, Y liter, sorry. So here ratio is 2:3 and here ratio is 3:7. So if I talk about milk in the first part, so A is nothing but, milk in the first part is nothing but 2/5 of X. Okay. And water is nothing but 3/5 of X. Similarly, in second one, milk is 3/10 of X and water is 7/10 of X. So total milk is, Y. Here it is Y. So final milk, what I got is 2/5 of X plus 3/10 of Y, and water is 3/5 of X plus 7/10 of Y. This should be equal to 4/7. This has to be given in the solution. But in the solution, what is given? 3x and 2y. See this. This part is wrong. That's why you're getting the wrong answer, right? You solve this, you will get the answer as 7:4. I repeat this, X liter and Y liter are the total quantities of the two mixtures. The ratio of in the first one is 2:3, so milk is nothing but 2 by 5 of X and water is nothing but 3 by 5 of X. Okay. Similarly, in the second one, it is 3 by 10 of Y and 7 by 10 of Y. So total milk is this plus this and total water is this plus this. The ratio of the two has to be 4:7. Clear? Solve it, you will get the answer as 7:4. Now there is one more approach of doing this question. Right. There is a method called alligation. You must have done this, right? Alligation talks about whenever you mix two quantities and the final answer is also given, you can find the ratio in which the two quantities were mixed, right? So if I talk about the only one quantity, let's say concentration of milk. So in the first mixture, the proportion of the milk is nothing but 2 by 5. In the second one, it is 3 by 10. 2 by 5 and 3 by 10. And what I need to got is, the ratio is 4:7. That means proportion of the milk should be 4 by 11. Clear? Now alligation, what alligation says, difference of these two should come here. So what is the difference here? LCM is 55. Cross multiply करेंगे 22 minus 20 will give you 2 upon 55. Similarly, the difference of these two will come here, becomes 110. 40 minus 33 is 7. Gives you 7:4 only. So this is the best approach for solving this type of question. Whenever you mix two quantities, you can apply alligation if you need to find the ratio in which the two quantities were mixed. Abhijit, I asked you a question. I gave you a smaller method only. Right? Clear with this part? Alligation you must have read in your classes. Okay, so final answer is 7:4. Okay. Next. Shopkeeper wants to earn profit of 12% by offering discount of 20% on the article. What is the markup percent? What is the markup? Markup is actually mark price is how much percent above cost price. This is called markup. Okay, so there is one way of what doing this question is, let's assume the CP is 100. I need to make a profit of 12%. 12% of 100 is 12 rupees, so profit has to be 12 rupees. That means selling price has to be 112. Okay. Now, discount is on mark price. Discount का base हमेशा mark price होता है. If I assume mark price is X, so after 20% discount on this, you will get selling price. So I can say 80% of X is 112. Shortcut. Check the options. If I take 42 for example, if I assume the cost price is 100, 42% increase means mark price is 142. Now 20% of this number will come in points or not? When you find 20% of 142, you will get some point, something point something. If you get selling price as something point something, your profit has to be in the decimal part only. But here the profit is exactly 12%. That means 42 cannot be my answer, 37 cannot be my answer, 32.5 cannot be my answer, because whenever you take these values, after increasing this by this or this percentage, you will get mark price as either 132.5 in the first case, 142 in the third case, and 137 in the fourth case. And after calculating 20% of any of these values, you will get profit as decimal, not integer, which is here. So these three cannot be my answer in any chance. This has to be the answer. It's very straightforward question. Although if one of the option is 30, then I have to check it. That is also easy again. 100 becomes 130. Now 20% of 130 is nothing but 26. So if you reduce 26 from this, we get 104. So there will be a profit of 4% now. But the answer has to be 12%. So the 30 will not satisfy my condition. That means that is the wrong answer. So the best way to do this question is checking the options. Okay. Particularly in this question, there are three options which are straight away ruled out. So only one option is left. Must be a doable question. Okay. (46) was easy, I guess. At least one, two. There are 11 possibilities. You can count it also. 6-2, 5-2, 4-2, 3-2, 2-2, 1-2. This is for this part. And then 2-1, 2-2 is already counted. 2-3, 2-4, 2-5, and 2-6. So there are 11 possibilities out of 36. So that was a straightforward question. (47) A sum of money invested at a certain rate of interest compounded annually becomes thrice in 2 years. P becomes 3P in 2 years. So whenever the amount money is invested on compound interest, I can say using this that whatever you invest becomes 3 times in 2 years. So after this 3P, in next 2 years, this 3P becomes 9P. In next 2 years, this 9P becomes 27P. So amount will become 27P after 6 years. And that is what is asking. If interest is 26 times, if I is 26P, amount is nothing but 26P plus P, which is 27P only, which I need to find. So total answer is 2 plus 2 plus 2, that is 6 years. Okay. Now, if I change the question, if instead of compounded annually, I am telling you that it is simple interest, not compound interest, what should be done in this case? Now we need to cater to the simple interest part, not the amount part. Here we are talking about amount part, because in compound interest, amount part is responsible. In simple interest, if you need to apply the unitary method, you have to apply this on the interest part, not the amount part. So in the first case, in 2 years, if P becomes 3P, that means interest is nothing but 2P. And you need to find interest should be 26P. 2 years में 2P होता है, तो 26P होने के लिए 26 years लगेंगे. This will be the answer in case of SI. क्वेश्चन अगर SI से पूछता तो ये आंसर होता. Clear with this? Okay. What it is straightforward? I do not know. Manas, you just type your queries here if you have any doubt. Right, 48. I don't know about the distribution of red and green, so definitely the answer is cannot be determined. (49) Rectangular sheet of integral dimension having area. Minus again, but sir, the question was in percentage. Which question? 47? 48? Yes, but let's see. A box says candies and toffees. Okay, so there is a box in which we have candies and toffees, right? And which are red in either in red or green wrappers. 25% of box are toffees. So if there are, let's say, 100 toffees, I can say the 25 are toffees and 75 are candies. Now 40% of the green object are candies. 40% of green are candies. Okay, that does not mean that red does not contain candy. It is simply saying that out of total green, 40% are candies. So what is this equal to? I don't know. Manas, am I clear? Yeah, that is a problem. Right, 49. So rectangular sheet of integral dimension of 32, area is 32. He's saying that dimension is integral. So there are three cases. Either it could be 1 cross 32, 2 cross 16 or 4 cross 8. There are three possibilities. Okay. Now you have to cut into smaller squares such that the entire sheet is used. Dimension of each smaller square is also integer. The maximum number of squares is. So if there is a sheet of 1 cross 32, there is a long sheet. This is 1 and this is 32. If I need to cut this into square, I can do this part only, that I distribute this into 32 squares. But this gives you answer 32. I need to find minimum number of squares. This is the maximum. If I take 2 into 16, so I can cut a square of unit 2 units. So 2, 2, 2 करके आप ऐसे 8 square cut कर सकते हो. The answer is 8 here. If I take 4 into 8, so if this is 4, this is 8, I can easily cut 2 squares which is of 4 dimensions. So the minimum number of squares are 2 only. You can ask 3 questions here. Minimum is 2, maximum is 32. How many ways are there? Is 3. These 3 questions can be asked. In how many ways you can do this? So the answer is 3. Okay? Should I move on? Okay. No questions, so I should move on now. Okay. Minimum surface area of a spherical box that can accommodate cubical box of surface area 216 centimeter square. Whenever you have to inscribe the cube in a sphere, my longest diagonal of cube should be equal to the diameter of sphere. Reverse to this, if I have to stuff a sphere into a cube, my side of the square of cube, will be equal to the diameter of sphere. Make it clear. Okay. So here is given the surface area of the cube is 216, 6a square is 216, a is nothing but 6. If a is 6, the diagonal of the cube will be 6 root 3, which is equal to the diameter. So r is nothing but 3 root 3. You need to find the surface area, which is nothing but 4 pi r square. Just put the value, get your answer. Gives you 108 pi. Okay, moving on to next. Now this is a slightly tough question. HCF of two number is 3, LCM is 36. Find the minimum sum of the two numbers. Whenever HCF is given, I can assume the number is 3A and 3B. But make sure that A and B should be co-prime. Why? Because the highest common factor is 3. 3 is the highest possible number which can divide these two numbers. So I am already taken 3 separately. That means the remaining part should not have a common factor, which is nothing but we call it as co-prime. A and B should not have common factor. This is the main point, because the highest common factor is already separated. Okay. So we assume the numbers are 3A, 3B. Make sure that A and B are co-prime. Only those values will be satisfied. Now we know the formula that first number into second number is equal to HF into LCM. Gives you A into B as 12. There are 3 possibilities: 1 cross 12, 2 cross 6, and 3 cross 4. The possible values A and B. This is okay because these are co-prime. This is not okay because these are not co-prime. There's a HF of 2 here. So this is wrong. This is okay because the numbers are 3 and 4, they are co-prime. So according to this, the numbers are 3 into 1 and 3 into 12, which is 3 and 36. And according to this, there are 3 into 3 and 3 into 4, which is 9 and 12. Minimum sum will give you this part, which is 21. Maximum sum is 39. Number of ways is 2. This can also be asked. How many pairs are there? So there are 2 pairs. Right? Yeah, this is a slightly lengthier question. In the previous mocks, the question was which are based on blood relations were comparatively easy, but this was tough. Okay, I already discussed that if you need to represent siblings, make a single arrow, a spouse double arrow, plus for male, minus for female. You can do otherwise also, right? There has to be a symbol for all these things. Lower generation will come in the lower line, upper generation will go in the upper line, right? Okay, so if I have to represent A is the brother of B, I will just simply write this only. Single arrow and plus, that's it. This will give you A is brother of B. Okay. Now see, wife of T is CA. So there's P, his wife, double arrow आ गया, is CA. Wife के लिए minus आ जाएगा, it becomes plus. So this is the first condition I got. Mother of Q is an engineer. Mother of Q, mother means minus, an engineer. This is second data I have. Always make a notation out of this. It is always easy. Son of the teacher is a lawyer. Son of a teacher is a lawyer. I don't know the gender of teacher, so I will not write this anything here. S is the son of T. S is the son of T. And there are 2 sons, 2 wives, 3 males, 2 females in the family. There are 2 wives, so these has to be female only. So ये तो यहाँ पे मैनेज हो जाएगा. Architect is the son of lawyer. Okay, यहाँ पे आ जाएगा. इसको मैं यहाँ बना देता हूँ. Teacher, son of teacher is lawyer. Lawyer का son है architect. Okay, so 3 generations are there. The very possible case is that 3 wives, the 2 wives and 3 males. Okay. Now, see this. If I put Q here, So here is an engineer because mother of Q is an engineer. Okay. Devendra, if you are not able to सुन ही नहीं पा रहा वैसे भी. Anyhow, so if I put Q here, mother of Q is engineer, so engineer will become in this row, right? But P is the P and CA, P का wife CA है, उसको भी फिर यहीं पे put करूंगा because I cannot put here because this is a male. Q is a male, so I cannot put P here. I cannot put P here. If I put P here, so his wife becomes CA. But according to this, she has to be engineer. Okay, that means my assumption that Q is there is wrong. Am I clear, all of you? What I'm saying is, if I put Q here, according to this statement, his mother is engineer, and according to this statement, his mother will be CA, which is not possible simultaneously. That means Q is not here. So Q has to be here only, and his mother is engineer. She will come here, and then again P and CA will come here. Okay. Right. So now what is left? T is S is the son of T. So if this is S, this is P. So the only option left for T is this one. Clear? And the only person left is R. So which becomes here. So all is done now. You can find the answer easily. But it's slightly a tough question, right? Any doubt in this? We can solve all three questions now. No doubt. Okay. This was an easy question straight away. Must be a doable question. See, the problem happens if I'm trying a tough question and if I'm removing this question, right, 55. If I'm not solving it, that is the problem is with the strategy part. Okay. So it's simply saying the 5-member family is there. 36 is the average in 2005. A new child is born in 2008. Average in 2012. So 7 years का gap हो गया आपका. So if I take the 5-member family only, 36 average should become 43 in 2012, right? So total has to be 5 into 43 plus a new child is born in 2008. His age must be 4 at present, and divide करेंगे 6 से. This will give the answer. ठीक है? This was an easy question now. This is again easy question. 2007, the average was 28. In 12 means 5 years, so plus 5 becomes 33. So 2012, the average is 33. Now there are two persons, 35 plus 33, total 68 are removed, and 22 and 24 are added. So 46 is added. 68 is removed, 46 is added. That means there is a total decrease of 22. If total is decreased by 22, average of 11% should decrease by 2. That means my answer has to be 33 minus 2. That is a shortcut here. Omkar is saying answer is coming 35. Which answer? Onkar Deshmukh, which answer you're talking about? Okay. So you must have done it wrong answer. Okay. Right. This was an easy question, straightforward question I can say. X liter of milk, 12 liters of water, milk is 40 rupees per liter, X mixture is 32 rupees per liter. There is no profit, no loss. So my cost price is nothing but 40x. As well, water is free, of course, and I'm selling this as 32 rupees per kg, and the total is x plus 12. Just equate it, get your answer. So there is nothing to do about this question. आप एग्जाम में अगर ये क्वेश्चन और पिछले वाला क्वेश्चन छोड़ के आ रहे हो, दैट इज अ प्रॉब्लम, राइट? दैट इज स्ट्रेटेजी प्रॉब्लम. This is again very easy question. Slightly tough, right? It's solved out of the 3 questions. The first one was tough. The rest 2 can be easily manageable. So if I'm trying to solve this one, my better strategy should be that write the second and third, and you can leave the first one because that is quite tough question. Okay, WPSC prelims exams, 6 different cities, 2011. Maximum marks are 200. Okay. Now, what is saying here is, in the first question, average marks obtained by Agra and Kanpur are integers. Agra and Kanpur, average marks are integers, are in the ratio 4:7. So I can assume the average is 4x and 7x. Average marks, right? Which of the following could be the sum of average marks obtained by the candidates from these 2 cities? That means he's asking for 4x plus 7x. Is nothing but 11x. इन्हीं दोनों का सम पूछ रहा है वो. So एक बात तो clear है that my answer has to be multiple of 11. This can be my answer, multiple of 11. This can be my answer, this can be my answer. This is straight away ruled out because it is not a multiple of 11. Right? D cannot be my answer according to this analysis. Okay, so out of these 3, which 2 are not possible? Okay, so I just need to find a maximum value, for example. Okay, my maximum marks for the exam is 200. So any of these values, 4x or 7x, should not be more than 200. 200 से ऊपर नंबर तो कभी मिलेंगे ही नहीं आपको, चांस ही नहीं है. So I can say that 7x should be less than 200. Gives you x less than 200 by 7, which is nothing but x is less than 28.5 and so on. So that means if the value of x is less than 28.5, so maximum value of x is 28 only. 28 से ऊपर आप x की वैल्यू नहीं ले सकते हो. So if I take 28 only, so Kanpur will become 7 into 28 and Agra will become 4 into 28. Total will become 11 into 28. Gives you 308. यही पूछ रहा था आपसे वो. 11x आपका ये आ जाता है और ये मैक्सिमम वैल्यू है. Am I clear? I repeat the question. आगरा का एवरेज 4x गिवन था, कानपुर का 7x गिवन था और आपको इनका टोटल फाइंड करना था 11x. 218 आउट हो गया बिकॉज वो 11 का मल्टीपल नहीं है. अब मेरे मैक्सिमम मार्क्स 200 है, तो 200 में से ऊपर तो नंबर मिलेगा नहीं आपको. सो 4x एज वेल एज 7x 200 से कम होना चाहिए. 7x लेस देन 200 से आपका x आ गया लेस देन 28.5 समथिंग. इट मींस मैक्सिमम वैल्यू ऑफ x 28 हो सकती है. अगर मैं 28 पुट करता हूं तो मुझे 11x की वैल्यू 308 मिल जाती है. तो मैं डेफिनेटली बोल सकता हूं मेरा आंसर 308 से तो कम ही होगा. इसका मतलब 330 इज नॉट पॉसिबल, 396 इज नॉट पॉसिबल. द फाइनल आंसर इज 286. राइट? ऑल ऑफ यू क्लियर? Can you explain explanation which is given in the book? What is given in the book? Let the average marks for 4K and 7K, 11K, ठीक है, सेम ही तो की बात किया हुआ है उन्होंने भी. 7K is less than 200. That is also I'm telling you, Omkar. And K is less than 200 by 7. 11K is less than this. This is 314 approximately. Although यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा मिस्टेक है, बिकॉज 308 आएगा, 3014 नहीं आएगा, बिकॉज ये एक साथ सॉल्व कर लिया है, इसको एक साथ सॉल्व नहीं करना चाहिए आपको. मतलब यहाँ से मैं 28 वैल्यू ले सकता हूँ, बिकॉज k has to be integer, right? So this has to be 308, not 314. $60 was very easy question. Whatever is the ratio of 40 and 60 is the ratio of the actual values also. The 2:3 is the answer straight away. ये again easy था आपका. By what fraction number of candidates from Patna who appeared at the exam were less than Pune? Patna is how much less than Pune? Patna is I can say it's a midway, so 22.5. Pune is 30, so this is 7.5 less. Over 30 is nothing but 1 by 4. So my answer is 1 by 4, right? $62. A very easy explanation of this question can be, if you see the values, it's almost double and plus something. So if I say this is into 2 plus 5, this is into 2, sorry, into 2 plus 3, this is into 2 plus 5, this is into 2 plus 7. So according to this logic, my answer has to be into 2 plus 9, or could be into 2 plus 11 also. Why? Because 3, 5 and 7 are also prime numbers. So maybe it should be 9 or 11. Unfortunately, none of the option will satisfy any of these two conditions. Into 2 plus 9 करके भी कुछ नहीं आता है, into 2 plus 11 करके भी कुछ नहीं आता है, because into 2 plus 9 will give you 154 plus this is 163 and or 165, and none of the option is given. That means there is different logic behind this question. If I am not getting my answer according to my logic, so my logic is not valid here. So I have to thought about another process now. So multiply logic नहीं चलेगा, difference logic भी नहीं चलेगा. Now these are all actually if you factorize it, first one gives you 2 into 3, second gives you 3 into 5, third gives you 5 into 7, 7 into 11. So you can observe from this it is a product of prime numbers. So next has to be 11 into 13 is 143. These questions can sometimes very tricky. If you are not comfortable, please review it. Okay, especially those who talks about the odd one out. There can be many logic which can be applied here, and every time you can get the different answers. And maybe in some two cases, both the logic are strong. Any tip for this question? Just tell me the answer of this question? Anyone? ओंकार देशमुख 143 तो उसका आंसर आ गया है, मैं अपने वाले क्वेश्चन का आंसर पूछ रहा हूँ। संतोष चौधरी, what is the relation between these? Which? I am not getting your question. Nobody is getting the answer? Serious now. 6 plus 1, 7. 4 plus 3, 7. 9 plus 6, 15. My answer has to be 2 plus 4, which is 6. Onkar got the right answer. It can be summation of digits, as I told you, right? It can be multiplication also. 96, 54, 20. What should be the next number? So it's nothing but multiplication. 9 into 6, 54. 4 into 5, 20. 2 into 0, 0. There are some very basic tricks. Apart from this question can be solved only by practice. I can make n number of questions, infinite questions, every question with a different logic. Now I told you 3 logics, this and this. The only point is whenever you do the next question, you will thought of this also and next time. That is a part of, that is the effect of the practice basically. Sunil Kumar Reddy, 2 is a prime number, right? 1 is not a prime number. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, these are prime numbers. That becomes a pattern. 1 is not a prime number. Otherwise, where goes 9? 7 to 9 होना चाहिए था फिर तो. Okay. Santosh is asking for any good books for these. Not specific good books. There are n number of books available in the market, especially for number series. Take R.S. Agarwal. Okay, that gives you an ample number of questions for solving these type of questions. Okay. 63 is quite easy. It's simply the difference of the numbers, consecutive numbers, right? Okay, so we are done with the maths part now. We'll come to logic and RC. Nishant, can you take over, please? Vaibhav, a doubt, yes. Question 62. 62 will be done. Now, right? Okay. Nishant, please take over. Thank you very much.
Hey. Thank you, Tarun. Can all of you hear me? If all of you can hear me, please type a yes in your chat box. Right, I've got a yes only from Manas as of now. Okay, please type a yes if you can hear me. So I'll start with the English, the RC and the logic part. Right. So I'm getting yeses. Great. So, when we look at this paper of ours, there were total 65 questions. there were total 65 questions on RC as well as logic. So 65 questions on RC plus logic. Now see, the most important thing about RC and logic is that, you know, when I'm scanning the paper, I should pick out those RCs which I'm comfortable reading. So pick the RCs which you are comfortable reading, right? So you have to work on your comfort zone, the very first thing. This is the very first thing that you should always do when you are picking up RCs. So it could be topics that you are comfortable with, right? Or it could be the questions. And most of the times you'll find that the kind of questions that come in RCs are basically all direct questions. So you have all the direct questions coming in, and apart from the direct questions, you also have sometimes assumption questions. Right. So when we are looking at these questions, we can scan through the questions, right? However, I'll go question by question for your benefit. So let me take you to the very first question, the very first passage which was there. And if I look at the breakup of the RCs also, you will find that you know, in the entire paper, the total questions from RC were 32. Right. And then there were 15 questions on logic, and there were 8 questions on decision making. So let's go to the questions then. Let's go to the very first question, that is RCs, and you know, as and when you have queries. Devin, please, are you able to hear me now? Devin, are you able to hear me? Okay, I've got a question over here, and the question comes from Dinesh Reddy. It says that, sir, can you please throw some light on how much is considered safe in this paper? See, Dinesh, it's not a matter about, you know, what is considered safe. You must always go for at least, if nothing, you know, you out of the 80 questions that are given to you, you should make an attempt of around 50 questions, which you will be able to do, you know, if you make a nice mix of maths and RC. That's one thing. Right, so I'm going back to your first question. Tarun, the host, can you pass me the presenter rights, please?
Just hold on. Oh, I mistakenly given it to Guide Launcher. I will just do it.
Thank you, Tarun. Just kindly be patient, I'm moving to the very first passage. Right, coming to the very first passage over here, you know, if you look at this passage, those of you who are not familiar with politics may want to leave this passage altogether. However, you know, if you look at it, there is nothing very, very technical in the passage if you look at it. The passage is all about the US ending its surge in Afghanistan and the US giving Afghanistan back, the US giving Afghanistan back to the Afghanis, right, and the repercussions, etc., over there. Before I move with the passage, sir, are you asking about 50? That is what Miss Mohanty tells me. Yes, that is what I am talking about. Or when I do maths, that RC part complete nahi ho pata. Oh, So you need not complete the RC part, that is what I'm saying. If you want me to throw some light on the strategy, I'll do that, because if I look at it very, very simply, I was saying that let me break down the RCs then. When I look at the RC part, you'll find that there were 4 passages, the first 4 passages, which are 13 questions, right? Then there were another RCs, 3 passages, and there were 10 questions. Sorry, it was 9 questions. And then you had another 3 passages which had 10 questions. Now the passages which this one which had 4 into 13 questions and 3 into 10 questions, they could be read in both English and Hindi. However, my advice to you would be that you take Hindi only as a reference language, right? Do not read the entire passage in Hindi, because what happens at times is the translations are not up to the mark, right? And it wastes a lot of time when I'm reading the translation in Hindi. So, and then these 9 questions, 3 passages into 9 questions, they were totally testing my language comprehension, right? They were the questions which were only in English. These were the questions which were only in English. Okay. So now total number of questions, if you look at RC over here, 10 plus 13 plus 9, so you will get 32 questions, right? If my math is not bad. So out of these 32 questions, there is no need to do all 32 questions. What you can do is, you can even go by doing 16 questions, half of it, and you can make a mix and match of the passages. Some of you who have a problem in the assumption type questions, for example, right? So you can completely skip them and you can go for the direct questions over there. Then if I come to your logic part, what was happening over there? In the logic part, there were 5 questions on syllogisms, right? This was it. So those of you who are comfortable with syllogisms, you should have gone for syllogisms, and especially, somebody had asked also, and he was saying that question number 17 was a difficult question. Yes, it can be a dicey question. We'll discuss that in a while. Then there were 10 questions. There were 10 questions on critical reasoning, right? So out of these 10 questions, even if I do 4 to 5 questions, I'm on the safe side. I don't have to do all the questions over there. And there were decision-making questions, which were 8 questions. So again, out of these 8 questions, if I see, these questions did not have any negative marking, right? So out of 8 questions, even if I do, let's say, 5 to 6 questions, my task is done. So what I'm saying is, total overall in the paper, to be able to do 50 questions is a good thing, but 45 to 50 questions actually is a good thing, and make a healthy mix of maths as well as the RC questions, the logic questions. Now Amar asks me, sir, before going through the passage, should we have a glance over the questions? Definitely, Amar, you can do that, but if you have been doing your mocks, you will figure out one thing, that most of your questions are direct questions, right? So if you look at the stem of the question, so for example, if I look at the PPT over here, if I look at question 1, first question is the assumptions question, right? The second question is inferred. The third question says, according to the passage, what is the difference in the interest of India and Pakistan with reference to Afghanistan, right? So if I look at this passage, all the 3 questions, I'll have to probably read the passage. That's the most important thing, right? So reading the passage in this case would be important, but otherwise, definitely, of course, I can always look at the passage and then I can go to the questions, right? So you can apply this approach, passage question approach, or the question passage approach, whichever you are comfortable with. In a short RC, I would prefer reading the RC, and in a long RC, I would prefer going to the questions first and then coming to the passage. Does it make sense? Okay, coming back to your first RC, right? If you look at this RC, this is very, very normal, what is happening, and it has been reported in daily newspapers. Even if you look at the civil services exam, the GS paper 2, you will find that most of the RCs would be based on some current happenings. I would not say current affairs, but I would say current happenings, right? When I say current affairs, I'm talking about probably something which is happening in the immediate present or over a period of 1 year. Here it will be current happenings. From which areas? From the areas of social, political, right, legal, and economic. So one more thing I would suggest to you kids is that you must read newspapers, which you of course do, right, but be a little more vigilant and especially focus on the editorial part of it. That's very, very important, right? So coming back to your first RC now, if you look at the RC, I believe all of you have read the RCs, because if I go on reading the RCs in the webinar, I think we'll continue till 12 o'clock in the night. So what was the crux of this RC? The crux of this RC was that the US is ending its 3-year-old surge, right? And the government of Hamid Karzai is being given enough security, right? End of the surge marks the end of the US willingness to militarily support a liberal and progressive Kabul regime. So basically, why the US is going out is because now it is confident that the Afghani government will be able to run its own nation, right? Till now, this is what has happened. And at the same time, it also says it is important not to assume that Afghanistan will inevitably become a Taliban playground. So this is something which is very, very important in the second paragraph, right? So it says it's not important to assume that Afghanistan will inevitably become a Taliban playground as the US withdrawal continues. The US is likely to keep several thousand special forces soldiers and a fleet of drones in Afghanistan for years to come. And it is also saying that there would be some kind of an economic aid. But now, you know, if you look at this passage, this paragraph, this is talking about something important. He says the sense is a stalemate. What is a stalemate? I should know the meaning of the word, right? What does a stalemate mean? Stalemate means a pandemonium. I am probably giving you a difficult word, pandemonium, N-I-U-M. But what a pandemonium means? It means no breakthrough, right? No breakthrough. So when I say no breakthrough, एक बिल्कुल रुकावट आ गया है बात में. That is what it is saying. So sense is a stalemate. Neither Mr. Karzai nor the Taliban can win. But there is no evidence that Kabul is in a position to constructively bring the insurgents to the negotiating table. One of the unfulfilled goals of the surge, this means that the US withdrawal is likely to be accompanied by more violence. Now the author is giving his own opinion over here, right? So this is what? This is the author's opinion. He was quoting facts, now he's coming up with his opinion. So you need to also, you know, be careful when you are doing an RC where the author is giving the opinion, where the author is quoting facts and things like that. And now it continues with his opinion. He says, as the US disengages from Afghanistan, the main external player will increasingly become Pakistan. So again, the author is, you know, giving some kind of a fear over here. So it says that Pakistan would become powerful. But at the same time it says, but Afghanistan today will be a lot harder to control for Rawalpindi as it was in the 1980s. Pakistan wants security guarantees regarding Afghanistan that would convert Kabul into a vassal state. Now some of you might be wondering what is a vassal, right? So vassal ka kya matlab hota hai? Vassal actually means where you are subordinate to somebody. There is a very beautiful word in history which is used for it. It's called suzerain. Right, where it is not sovereign, it's not independent, right? So it's dependent. So it will become a dependent state. India's desire is for a Kabul that is not dominated by the Islamists. Now again the author he gave his fear, then he's quoting facts. Now he says, again now here the author's opinion is coming into being. He says, bridging the gap between Pakistani paranoia and Indian interests. What is paranoia? Paranoia is fear. If you look at the Hindi translation, they will give you a very difficult word. That's why I'm saying that, you know, Hindi translation is not the best thing. Right. So an Indian interest will be crucial to place Afghanistan on an even keel. So what is this keel? When I say even keel, you would have looked at the bottom of a ship, right? So there is a keel. So the ships sail when they are balanced. So I would say a balance. I'm giving you, day-to-day vocabulary. If you look at the Hindi translation, things would be very, very difficult. This will be determined on the battlefield partially vacated by the US. India is unwilling to be involved through boots on the ground, but there are other ways it should seek to ensure that a US withdrawal does not mean an Afghan terrain that tilts in the direction of the Taliban closest to Pakistan. So the author is giving an opinion, and he expressed his fear. Now he is giving a warning also over here, right? So basically the passage just talks about the author's opinion, the facts backed with it. Now let's go to the question. The question says, consider the following assumptions. The strengthening of the Afghan nation was an objective of the US. And the second says, Afghanistan is doomed to fight a lone battle with the Taliban. Now, if you look at the author over here, when we were doing the passage, when we were reading the passage, we figured out one thing, that the tone of the author, although it was apprehensive, right, it was riddled with fears, but he was not at all critical, right? So he was not at all critical. So when I say Afghanistan is doomed to fight a lone battle with the Taliban, here the author is becoming critical, so this option is eliminated. The strengthening of the Afghan nation was an objective of the US, that is exactly why it conducted the surge over there, right? So I have eliminated one option, I have option 1. So my answer becomes A, right? Okay, moving to the next question. It can be inferred that the likely outcome of the US withdrawal will be. So here, what kind of a question is this becoming? This is asking us to infer from whatever is written in the passage. And inference means that I go one step beyond, right? One step beyond what is mentioned in the passage. But it does not in any manner mean that whatever is written in the passage cannot be an inference. It can always be an inference in absence of a better answer choice. So let's look at the options. That the Taliban will become stronger and will be able to assume control of important areas of Afghanistan. Now, if you go to the third paragraph of the passage, right? So if I skip you back to the PPT, if you have papers, that would be great. If you go to the third paragraph, just refer to your papers. If you go to the third paragraph, you will find that the author writes, it's important not to assume that Afghanistan will inevitably become a Taliban playground. So, ye to negate ho gaya. This is negated. Second says that the negotiations between the Taliban and the Afghanistan government may reach a deadlock in the future. We were talking about some kind of a stalemate. If you remember, I spent some time on this word, right? MAPE, sorry. So this looks likely as an answer, but again I would say whenever you are doing critical reasoning or RC, always go by the process of elimination. Never ever select an answer choice. So elimination is the correct choice and selection is the incorrect way of doing a question. So please remember this. So we will just right now zero down on B, but we'll look at the other options also. The onset of a financial crunch as foreign funding and aid will become scarce and run out altogether. But America said that they will give some $1 billion to Karzai, so this is incorrect. Initial violence that will soon die down to pave the way for a strong peace building process. But the author was giving his fears that there could be some violence in Afghanistan. So this is also eliminated. So my answer option actually becomes B. Coming to question number 3. Question number 3 says, according to the passage, what is the difference in the interests of India and Pakistan with reference to Afghanistan? So what should I do for answering this question? I should go to the paragraph where India and Pakistan are mentioned, right? So if you go to the first, second, third, fourth, fifth paragraph of the passage where it was talking about Pakistan and India, you will get the answer directly from there. So Pakistan has a higher stake in the affairs of Afghanistan than India has? No. There is no comparison which is given. And moreover, the passage says that Rawalpindi will have a difficult time in controlling Afghanistan than it had in the 1980s. B says Pakistan has a more favorable stake in Afghanistan than India does. No. This is a very similar kind of an answer choice which goes for a toss. Pakistan is looking for a change in regime, whereas India wants the removal of militancy. Looks like a likely answer, right? But if you look at it, it says Pakistan is looking for a change in the regime, which Pakistan is not doing. Pakistan wants to assume control. So it's not necessary that it will do it through a change in the regime. So this is not mentioned in the passage. This is not mentioned in the passage, so it cannot be your answer, because if I take anything which is not there, what would happen? What would happen? I would go beyond the scope of the passage. Now, India is not in favor of an Islamist-dominated Kabul. Yes, exactly. That is what India is saying. India is saying that if you go to the 5th paragraph, the last line of the 5th paragraph says that India's desire is for a Kabul that is not dominated by the Islamists. So you get the answer. So, there is one thing, there is a technique called skimming and scanning. So somebody was asking me a question in the beginning. Am I audible now, Tarun? Am I audible to all of you? Please type a yes. Tarun, am I audible to you? Okay, we'll go ahead. So we were talking about a technique called skimming and scanning. So somebody, when he was asking कि पहले question लिखना चाहिए कि पहले passage करना चाहिए, what I would suggest is, there is a technique called skimming and scanning. Once you go through the keywords of the questions, like in this we did, when we were looking at the questions, we go through the keywords. We do not go through the options. No options, but only keywords given in the questions. And then we'll come to a particular paragraph, or while reading the passage, we pay more attention to the para where the question is being given, right? So we'll be able to do the passages faster. Does it make sense, guys? Okay. So let's move to the next passage. Sir, please repeat first question. Santosh, where were you? We'll come to the first question later now. Passage 2. Now, the passage 2 is talking about something to do with economics. The very first line which you see over here is fiscal deficit, which in fact is very, very pertinent to what? To the budget which is going to come out tomorrow also. Acha, somebody is saying, Gaurav is saying, bata do sir. Gaurav, what do you want me to tell you? Do you guys want me to repeat the very first question? So, if that is popular demand, I'll go to the first question then. Okay. So, just a moment, those of you who saw the first question. Coming to question number 1, we said consider the following assumptions, right? The strengthening of the Afghan nation was an objective of the US. Yes, it was an objective of the US. Why? Because if you look even at the first paragraph, we were saying that the surge in Afghanistan. Why did the US come with a surge in the Afghanistan? Because it wanted to remove terrorism from there, right? That is what is given in the passage. And the end of the surge marks the end of US willingness to militarily support a liberal and progressive Kabul regime, it says. Nation building, as it were, is no longer part of the international agenda. So why did the US enter Afghanistan? US entered Afghanistan because it wanted to do some kind of a nation building, which now it is transferring to the Afghani people. Second says, Afghanistan is doomed to fight a lone battle with the Taliban. If you look at this, so I said that the tone of the author, of course, was apprehensive. It was marked with some kind of a fear, but under no circumstances was it critical. And if you look at the word doomed, it is a negative word, right? So this word doomed leads me to a tone which is critical, which was not the case in the passage. That tone was apprehensive, but it was not at all critical, right? So I hope that answers question number 1. Okay, I'm getting a lot of queries about the skimming scanning technique and assumption, conclusion and inference. So I think I need to spend some time on popular demand over here. Okay, when we talk about an assumption, guys, what is an assumption? Something which we take for granted. Like all of you, sitting in this webinar, attending the verbal ability section, with some kind of a pre-thought that we will gain something from the seminar, from the webinar, right? So that's an assumption. I am attending, so many students are attending the webinar on the assumption that they will gather something from the seminar. So if I look at the assumption, it's nothing, it's basically the foundation. It's the foundation of any RC, it's the foundation of any critical reasoning argument. If I look at something called an inference, inference is nothing but it's going a step beyond whatever is given in the passage, right? It's basically derivation. Aap maths mein samajhte hain derivation, that is what it is. If I say that in a poll survey, 80% of the voters said that they will not vote for the Congress party. Please listen to me very carefully. If 80% of the voters are saying that we will not vote for the Congress party, then what is happening? The inference I can draw is that 80% votes will not go to the Congress party. So kuch nahi hai, it's like a conclusion only. Amar, can you hear me now? Okay. Now somebody was asking a conclusion also. Dekho, if I look at a conclusion, it's nothing, it's technically speaking, it's an inference only. The only thing is that conclusion is given in the passage or the critical reasoning argument in itself. Inference होगा नहीं, inference आपको derive करना पड़ेगा, conclusion वहाँ पे दिया होगा. Okay. Somebody said question number 3 में external player will increasingly become Pakistan. Does it not infer about higher stake in Afghanistan? Okay. Abhinav, if I go back to your question number 3, which option are you referring to? Pakistan has a higher stake in the affairs of Afghanistan than India has. When you are talking about higher stakes of Pakistan and international player to India bhi ho sakta hai, friend. India can also be an international player. And if I go back to your passage, it just talks about, if you go to the first, second, third, fourth, fifth paragraph, it says, as the US disengages, the main external player will increasingly become Pakistan, but Afghanistan today will be a lot harder to control for Rawalpindi. See, look at the next line. I'll in fact take you to that paragraph. If you are talking about this paragraph, but you concentrate on this word now, but Afghanistan today will be a lot harder to control for Rawalpindi than it was in the 1980s. So what the author is already saying is, he's saying very simply one thing, that although Pakistan may have a higher stake, but it will not be able to do it. And what does your option say? Your option says Pakistan has a higher stake. There is a difference. If the option would have said Pakistan may have, I would have still gone for the option, but it says Pakistan has a higher stake. That means you are making a definite conclusion out of a probable given condition, which is not acceptable. So A option actually becomes incorrect. I hope that clarifies your doubt, Mr. Abhinav Srivastava. So let me go to your second passage. In this passage, somebody was saying that talk about the skimming scanning technique. If you look at this passage, let me go to the questions first then. It says from the passage it can be inferred that the main aim of the author. अब जैसे ही ये question आता है, I know that this question is a main idea question, right? The moment I see it as a main idea question, I have no scope for skimming and scanning, because the moment I get a main idea question, I have to actually read the complete passage, because otherwise I will not be able to come up with an answer, because the answer would be either, it's the clue to the answer in a main idea question. The clue to the answer is either in the first para or in the last para. This is what happens. But it does not mean that the first para will necessarily contain the answer. The first para, if there is a clue, then the rest of the paragraphs which follow, they will be in support of that para, right? So they will be in support of that para. So keep this in mind. So ये मैंने क्वेश्चन देख लिया, मुझे पता चल गया कि मुझे पूरा पैसेज पढ़ना है. If I go to question number 5, it says which of the following option best explains why raising diesel prices will control the fiscal deficit. So here this is a specific idea question which is talking about rising diesel prices. Okay, so I'll go to the paragraph directly where diesel prices would be mentioned when I skim through the passage. Sixth question says consider the following assumptions. The moment the assumption comes, again I know that I have to read the complete passage. So if I actually want to do this passage, the best thing for me would be to read the complete passage, right? So then I can mark my answers. Anybody has any doubts on this passage? So I would discuss, otherwise I'll move forward. If you have doubts, please put it in the chat box. No doubts. So I think let's move forward with this passage. So let's come to the third passage. Achha, sir, can we discuss question 6? Right, Vaibhav, I'll discuss question 6. So question 6 is asking us, consider the following assumptions. Globalization ensures that economies have less autonomy and thus less say in matters of their economic growth. Okay. So I think you got confused with this option, right? Because you would have read a paragraph which was mentioning about that sovereigns do not have a complete control, right? But nowhere in the passage it does not say that they will have less say in the matters of the economic growth. That is what is not being said by the passage, by the author. The WTO has adversely affected the Indian farmer and the prospects of agricultural growth in the country. Vaibhav is saying, isn't this implicit? Okay, Vaibhav. So I think I'll need to go back to your passage and make things clear to you. Your question number 5 anyways would come from here. Those of you who are looking for the answer. For consumers already reeling under a double digit, it talks about this. Come to this paragraph. Look at this paragraph. It says, making matters more complex is the fact that today the sovereign has very little control over its finances. Like it or not, India cannot and will not grow at 9% if the rest of the world is contracting. Okay, so we are talking about an interdependence, right? We are talking about an interdependence, but under no circumstances are we talking about the sovereign losing control. We are not talking about that. Abhinav says UPA government said option A in the last passage of question 6. Abhinav, the very first thing is, when we are talking about the UPA government, like it or not, India cannot and will not at 9% if the rest of the world is contracting, thereby closing business opportunities. There the UPA government is right, it says. Okay. The political power of the sovereign goes down with every move towards globalization, Kaushik Basu said. Now, also remember what Abhinav is saying, he's very correct. He's saying that it's a quote by the UPA government. And if it is a quote by the UPA government, it's simply giving a fact. And if it is simply giving a fact, it cannot be an assumption. Because assumption is something which the author is using in order to make the passage. Vaibhav again asks me less control in passage and less autonomy in question 6, option 1. Have less autonomy, right? So when I talk about autonomy, it's not about the difference of the mere word autonomy and control. Autonomy is the free hand that the government would would exercise, right? That the economy would exercise. And here the catch is not autonomy and control. Here the catch is this: ensures. If you look at the option now, it says globalization ensures. Ensures means makes it sure that economies have less autonomy. Globalization is not ensuring that. It's simply a fallout of the globalization. It is simply a fallout. Please understand that. You are not assuming, you cannot assume based on the comments by the UPA government. And here the catch is not about less autonomy and less control, it's about ensures. When I say Ram ensures that Sham goes to school, that means he makes sure. Whereas the passage is not saying that globalization ensures that there would be a less autonomy. Globalization, he says that one of the key things of globalization, if I look at that particular line once again, that particular line is talking about, it says that making matters more complex is the fact today that sovereign has very little control over its finances. But globalization is not ensuring that, yeah. Come on, ensuring is a tone which is too hard a tone for me to say that, if it is happening as a fallout, it's an insurance. It's not an insurance. Right? I hope that makes things clear, Vaibhav. Vaibhav says, got it, sir. After 2-3 rounds of discussion, good. RCs should be discussed very well, right? So I think let's move ahead. Let's move to the next passage, passage 3. Again, if you look at this was a topic which is very, very pertinent to what is happening today in India, right? So this is FDI in retail, multi-brand retail. Now, any doubts and any question of this passage? Anyways, let me also tell you how the way to approach this passage. So let's again look at the questions. It says that from the passage it can be assumed that the author's views on FDI in multi-brand retail are. So again an assumption. तो यहाँ पे क्या करना पड़ेगा? I'll have to read the passage. Question 9 says, which of the following are the essential elements in the success of retail giants? Which of the following option best explains the purpose of the last 4 paragraphs? See, if you look at all 3 questions, they call in for a complete reading of the passage. There is nothing left for choice over here. So if in the exam I were doing this passage, probably if I am running less, if I am running short of time, I would want to skip such a passage. I would rather go for a short passage and I would pick up questions from there. Yes, Abhinav, because we are talking about insurance. Insure is a word which is not talking about the fallout. Insure is a word which is saying that globalization makes it sure. I hope it would be clear now. So any doubts in these questions? Question number 8, 9 and 10? If there are doubts, please put them. Else we'll move forward. We have a lot to do in our team. Question number 9. Okay, Manas. It says, according to the passage, which of the following are the essential elements in the success of retail giants? The use according to the passage, which of the following are the essential elements in the success of retail giants? If you look at the last 4 paragraphs of the passage, you'll find that what was India doing? What was India doing to the retail giants, right? Now, if I look at it, if you look at the very first option, it says the use of technology to maintain an advantage over others. Is this given anywhere in the passage? So let's go back. Supply chain software can help lower costs by managing inventories. I'm reading from the middle, okay? So here if you look at it, we are talking about a technological advantage, that supply chain software can help lower costs by managing inventories. Data analytics and customer relation software can help them. So definitely technology is helping some giants, the people who are doing well in the space, it is helping them, right? It comes out. So option statement 1, which is given in question number 9, comes out very, very clearly. The use of technology to maintain an advantage over others. Sales and marketing strategies based on analysis of customer data. Okay. It also comes out, if I go back to the same paragraph, partners, employees and vendors are now connected by software, Indian talent figures and all this. Infosys was an earlier adapter of Walmart's model to do this. That helps the retail chain track inventories at low cost. Right. Now, I am coming to the third statement, which of course Abhinav is asking very rightly. He says, sir, why not? The third thing is coming out. Maintenance of large inventories to bring the benefits of low cost to the customer. There is a problem. We are talking about cost benefits, but are we talking about passing of the cost benefits to the customer? Is the passage talking about that? Anywhere is the author mentioning that? No, right? If the author is not mentioning that, then the third statement cannot be the answer in question number 9. So your answer becomes effectively option A. Option A becomes your answer. Technology is helping to maintain an advantage. You are analyzing the data of sales and marketing strategies, are being based on the analysis of the data. Yes, it is happening. Right. Abhinav, I did not get your question. You are saying, but sometimes we are inferring. What are we inferring? When I talk about an inference, I am talking about something which is derived from the passage, not something which we bring from outside the passage. We cannot bring in anything from outside the passage. Please remember that. Whenever we are doing RCs, we have to follow 3 things. Tone, theme, and the scope. Tone is the way in which the author is writing. Theme is what he is writing. And the scope is to what extent is he writing. That is what we are talking about, guys. And, if you go back, it talks about supply chain software can help lower costs by managing inventories. Inventory word is very much mentioned, Weber over there. Right, but we are not talking about inventories linked to lower costs for customers. The passage does not talk about lower costs for customers. That's why it becomes an incorrect option. It's not because the word inventory is mentioned over there. Inventory is mentioned. If you look at this line, the word inventory is there. But the inventory is not giving me the direct benefit to the customer, to the person who is buying that. We are talking about the supply chain software. Please understand this. When we are talking about the supply chain software, we are talking about how it reaches from the factory to the point of sale. So it might not necessarily include only the customer. Okay, somebody was asking me question number 9 also. Is that right? Question number 9, why are we opting out option 3 large inventory? ये तो कर ही लिया हमने. Question 8 also somebody was asking me, I think. Abhinav again is asking me question number 8. From the passage, it can be assumed that the author's views on FDI in multi-brand retail are. So I believe all of you have read the whole passage, because I'm not going into the reading of the passage over here. Now, if you look at it, throughout the passage, what is the author talking about? Is he talking about that in favor of the government taking more measures to protect the interests of the local shopkeepers? He is not talking about that. If you go back to that part of the passage where the author said that this might happen, that might happen, that the author is not saying that. It was the view of the economists which he is putting forward to you. If you go back to the passage, I'll take you back to the passage. It says there is a controversy ranging over the entry of giants such as this. Most economists, analysts look at it in terms of. So author is not looking, it's the third party view. So do not ever confuse the third party view with the view of the author. Keep this in mind always. So is the author in favor, but based on the condition that the FDI will not adversely affect local shopkeepers? No. That India has an important role in giving the retail giants a competitive edge. Isko abhi dekhte hain. It looks like an answer. Against the use of foreign investment in the retail sector. Again, the author is not against. So by the process of elimination, we have come to option C, right, which is not directly mentioned in the past. But the process of elimination actually has helped us to arrive at option number 3. Let's go to, somebody says, doesn't question number 10 look very tricky because all the options look the same? Okay, so let's analyze question number 10. Which of the following options best explains the purpose of the last 4 paragraphs? Yes, to indicate that technology is an important aspect in retail growth. Yes, it definitely highlights this. To illustrate the role that Indian technology firms and professionals play in the expansion and growth of retail giants. If you remember the passage, you will remember something that the author constantly was talking about programmers sitting in Bangalore and making programs which would help these giants, right? So this comes closest as of now, but let me look at all the other options. To highlight the growth of the IT sector in India and the dependence of foreign firms. See, when I'm talking about highlight the growth of the IT sector, no, it's not talking about that. It's in fact talking about FDI in multi-brand retail. So this option is out of question. To assert the need for technology and continuous advancements for the growth of the retail sector. He is not asserting the need for technology. You know what the author is saying? He is talking about the benefits of technology. See, there are two different things. When I talk about that this thing brings this particular benefit to this particular trade, I am saying something else. But when I say this thing is required for something else, then I am asserting the need. So this also is not your answer choice. Isn't the author talking strongly on IT and also technology? Yes, he is talking strongly on IT. He is talking on the importance of IT. He is talking on the advantage that the retail sector is gaining from IT and technology, but he is not talking about the growth of the IT sector. You know, if you are looking at this, it says to highlight the growth of the IT sector, which will be completely out of the theme of the passage. Coming now, we are left with option A and option B. To indicate that technology is an important aspect in retail growth. Yes, he is doing that, right? But in the last 4 paragraphs, if you look at them very, very carefully, he is just talking about Indian IT firms and what are the benefits that are being accrued from these Indian IT firms to the retail giants, right? So therefore, you get only B as the answer option and not A. I hope that satisfies your query. Sir, I beg to differ on option A also. Okay, so what is your difference, Weber, on option A? Please, can you type it? Weber, I'm waiting for you. Sir, in all the passage he is stressing on technology. Yes, in the entire passage he is doing that. But Weber, what does the question ask you? He asks you, best explains the purpose of the last 4 paragraphs. Now, if I take you back to the last 4 paragraphs, I think I'll have to go to the passage. Infosys, India, right? Then we are talking about Indian bonds, Venki Harinarayan, Anand Rajaraman, Tesco, its edge to its Bangalore IT facility. We are talking about all Indian firms over here. We are not talking about just technology. You know, if you go back to your question now, is the question asking me for multiple answer choices? No. The question is asking me for one answer choice, and I have to pick out the best answer choice. And since the last 4 paragraphs are just talking about Indian technology firms, I would pick up the answer choice which goes with the Indian IT firms, not with the one where technology is an important aspect in retail growth. And moreover, here I see another flaw. It talks about retail growth. You know, when we talk about this term retail growth, we are actually here talking about the growth of the retail firms. We are not talking about the retail sector. So when I say retail growth can refer to the entire sector, not only to the retail giants. So I hope, Weber, that satisfies your query. Does it? Yes. Thank you. Again, see another passage which is doing something which is very, very relevant to something which is happening right now. Backdating taxes. Now, you know, when you are doing passages on economics, etc., do them if and only if you are very, very confident or you have been reading on these areas, right? So that is one thing which you can always apply as a litmus test. Now, if you look at this passage, it is also riddled with a lot of facts. So let's again look at the questions. It's a very lengthy passage. In the exam, if I were taking an exam, if I were to leave a passage, I probably would leave passage 4. Because it might take me more than 5 minutes to read. Right? So I might choose to leave it. See, my litmus test to all of you guys is also, you know, when you are reading passages, look at it. It should not, the entire passage plus doing the questions should not take you more than 8 minutes to attempt. That is very, very important. Okay, any doubts in these questions related to passage 4? Anyone? Question number 13. Abhinav says, but sometimes long passages are easy to read and we can answer all easily. Yes, Abhinav, you are right. Absolutely right. What I am saying is, if a passage is going to take you more than 8 minutes to read, you are wasting a lot of time of the other questions over there. So even if the passage is easier or lengthier, you know, and if you decide to go for it, keep this test in your mind that 8 minutes should be my upper limit of doing a passage. Question number, somebody was asking, 13. Okay. As per the information in the passage, the author is most likely to agree with which of the following. You know, these kind of questions where the question asks you most likely or least likely, these questions are called further application questions. And here you have to go for an answer which is directly in support of what the author is saying, right? So if I go and I look at, Amar is asking me specifically, why is it not B? At present, there is a lack of clarity on the issue of retrospective. Acha, theek hai, I'll analyze all the options then. C is also coming, etc., etc. Author is most likely to agree with which of the following. So I have to look for an option which directly supports whatever the author has said throughout the passage. So I believe all of you have read the passage. The author is talking about retrospective taxes and the court, lashing the taxmen over retrospective taxes, etc., etc., right? Now, if I come to your options, option A says the legal system in India needs a change and archaic laws that have no purpose should be relegated. If you look at this, when you are talking about this, legal system in India needs a change. We are not talking about the legal system. We are in fact focusing on the taxation system. Please understand this. There's a difference. So option A goes for a toss. B says, at present, there is a lack of clarity on the issue of retrospective taxes. Yes, there is no clarity. That's why the government got a lashing from the Supreme Court in the passage. C says tax revenues can be raised from other methods and not just through taxes in retrospect. Does the author advocate this? Throughout the passage, is the author advocating this? The author is not advocating this point. Please remember that. If you go back to the passage, again I think I'll have to take you back to the passage. The deals done earlier could be taxed. Last line of what? The last line of the passage. Reverse a tax decision as soon as possible, even before the next budget, when normally amendments to the income tax are undertaken. He reckons investors will return to the table once the fog over retrospective taxes is lifted. Fourth para. Okay. So let me go back to your fourth para. The last line of the fourth para, Amar, if you look at it, it talks very clearly about, this is the last bit, that deals done earlier could be taxed, raised a chorus of protest, etc. Mr. Shom, a tax expert of international standing, has not told the government what he knew all this while. Taxes in retrospect are best avoided. So what is Shom saying? Shom is saying that it is best to avoid the taxes, and it's a view of Shom, right? And nowhere is Shom saying that there are other methods. Where does Shom say that there are other methods? He never says that. So your option C cannot be your answer. Any other question here in this passage? None. Okay. Syllogisms. I hope all of you are already good with syllogisms, etc. Right, and you are clear on your concept. See, the basic thing about syllogisms is, one thing, you should be very, very clear on your concepts of syllogisms. That's the most important thing. Now here we are being asked to conclude something. Any doubt in question 14? First of all, let me ask you, then only will I do it. This was an easy question, I think. Any doubt? I'm waiting for responses. Are all of you there? Question 15, somebody has a doubt. Abhinav has a doubt. Okay, let's come to question 15. Right, so let's solve question 15. It says that all lawyers are unethical. So anyone who is a lawyer is unethical, right? I'm explaining. I'm explaining question number 15. Then it says no politician is unethical. So politician of course has to be outside, unethical. Some unethical people are bright, it says. So what would happen with the bright? The bright set can go like this. It can even engulf politicians, and few bright are politicians. ये हमने already कर दिया है, right? Few bright are politicians. So one way is this, one way is here also. From the above four statements, it may be concluded that some lawyers are bright. So is it necessary from the diagram that some lawyers have to be bright? If bright finishes over here, then what happens? Right. So what would happen? All the lawyers may not be bright, right? Okay. Then second thing is some lawyers are politicians. No lawyer is unethical. So lawyer to politician हो ही नहीं सकता, because unethical is the superset for the lawyer, right? So politician has to be here. So lawyer cannot be a politician. Some bright are not politicians, he's saying. You know, the moment I am saying that some few bright are politicians, the moment I say few bright are politicians, so what would happen? There would be an intersection of the set, which is happening here, which is happening here, which is happening here. So you cannot say that some bright are not politicians. Please understand, whenever I talk about the sum condition, when I say sum A is B, what it means is one possibility is this, right? Another possibility is that all the A might be B. The third possibility is that all the A might be B over here. Yeah. Right? So you cannot definitely say that sum A is not B. Please understand. Because if this case holds and this case holds, then sum A is not B will be becoming incorrect. So when I say sum A is B, the only logical conclusion is sum B is A. But if I say sum B is not A, I am incorrect, because this statement does not satisfy this condition as well as this condition. Keep this in mind. Similarly, if I say sum A is B, I cannot say that sum A is not B, because again it would be incorrect. It will not satisfy this, right? I hope, Abhinav, this is clear to you. But some unethical is not politician. My dear friend, what does the premise say? No politician is unethical. When the premise says when no politician is unethical, so unethical यहाँ आएगा, politician यहाँ आएगा. These are two different sets. Sir, please repeat question number 15 of third part. Sir, can you also repeat why option C is wrong? Okay. I think I'll have to do the Venn diagram once again. It says that all lawyers are unethical, right? So what does all mean? That anyone who's a lawyer has to be unethical? Then it says no politician is unethical. So politician as a set will come out of the set of unethical. So it is very true that एक चीज हमें क्या पता चल गई कि unethical is not equal to politician. Second thing we also know is that lawyer is not equal to politician, because lawyer is a subset of unethical, right? Then it says some unethical are bright. So when I draw bright, I can draw bright over here. I can also extend bright like this, right? And it says some unethical are bright, few bright are politicians. So what would happen? There can be a set which overlaps here, right? Now if you say some lawyers are bright, now when I say some lawyers are bright, अगर ये condition होगी तो आ जाएगा, but if it is this condition, then it will not come. So some lawyers are bright is not going to happen. Some lawyers are politicians. We have already said that the lawyers, no lawyer can be a politician. And when you are saying some bright are not politicians, how can you be so sure? The fourth premise itself says few brights are politicians. So brights are politicians, yeah. If at least one politician is bright, how can you say that some bright are not politicians? When I say some A is B, it does not mean that some A is not B. This is incorrect. Because what would happen? Some A is B means one is an intersecting set. Second, A and B can be equal. The third thing can be all A can be B. Right? I hope this clarifies. Amar says these bright who are unethical, they are not politicians. The brights who are unethical, they are not politicians. Yes, they are not politicians, but please understand, see, Amar, what is happening is, am I saying that the same politicians, the same brights who are unethical and the same brights who are politicians that would intersect, is it necessary? It would not happen. I hope there's a very simple Venn diagram that is there. Got it? Okay, thank you. Question 16 में किसी को डाउट है? Does anybody have a doubt in question 16? Okay, so it's an easy question, I believe. Let's come to the most talked about question, that is question number 17. This is an interesting question. How many of you have a doubt in this? Okay, so let me proceed. It says that some bags, Manas, is it question 17 or is it some other question that you have a doubt in? $15 was your doubt. I think it is clear now, 15? Okay, thank you. 17, anybody has a doubt? Abhinav has a doubt. Okay. So let me take the doubt. It will be beneficial to all of you as well. It says some bags are stitched. Right? Some bags are not stitched. So what is happening? Through this diagram itself, it is becoming clear that some of the bags are not stitched. I can use the same diagram to represent some bags are not stitched. Yes or no? Then it says all bags are sewn. No sewn is cotton, but cotton can be a part here. Cotton can be outside completely. It may be concluded that some cotton is stitched. Some cotton is stitched. Is it necessary? अगर ये condition होगा तो yes, but if stitch and cotton are here, then this cannot be your answer. No cotton is stitched. If this is the case, then of course D would be the answer, but if this is the case, then D cannot be the answer. Some sewn is stitched. Some bags are stitched and all bags are sewn, right? So the bags, anything which is a bag is sewn. So इसको ऐसे देख लीजिए, bag is sewn, and some of these bags are stitched as well. So what would happen? There would be a common intersecting set between bag sewn and stitched. So some sewn has to be stitched. So C becomes an answer. I hope it is clear. Is it? Is it clear? If it is clear, please mark a yes. Okay, great. Somebody says it's going great, sir. So let's rock. Right, we'll do many more questions, don't worry. Question 18, anybody has a doubt? No. Dinesh has a doubt. Okay, let me take it up for you, Dinesh, then. All deduction is logic. So anything which is a deduction is logic, right? Some inference is deduction. So inference automatically will intersect with logic also, right? No conclusion is logic. Okay, so conclusion cannot be here, but conclusion can always be here. Some logic is verbal. Some logic is verbal, one can be here, right? Some logic is verbal, there can be a common intersecting set over here. Some logic can be verbal, is here also, right? Some inference is logic. Now we have to see whatever can be deduced. Some inference is logic. Some inference definitely has to be logic because all deduction is logic, right? And some inference is deduction. So anything which is deduction has to be logic also. So some inference is logic over here. This is the intersecting set. यहाँ पे inference भी आ गया, संगम हो गया, त्रिवेणी आ गई है. Deduction, logic and inference. No conclusion is verbal. Now when I say some conclusion is inference, so conclusion can extend here also. I cannot definitely say that no conclusion is verbal, so it will be incorrect. Some conclusion is inference. Some conclusion is inference. Now, please understand, here it says that some inference is deduction. Inference and deduction we know, right? And conclusion is logic. So conclusion can be a part of logic here without being a part of inference as well, right? So this can be incorrect. And none of the above, of course, is not your answer. So A becomes your answer choice. I hope it is clear. If yes, please type a yes, guys. Okay, great. Now we come to critical reasoning. See, with critical reasoning, the only thing is that there is not much of a difference. Okay, Manas has asked me a very good question. Sir, is there any method to solve such questions without Venn diagram? Manas, definitely there is a method, which you can use your pure logic, but it will take you a lot of time in the examination. If you do not use a Venn diagram, because especially the CSAT type questions which come on deductive logic, they ask for 3-4 premises. So thoda sa mushkil ho jayega. So I think you can just work a little bit on Venn diagrams, it will be clearer. Sit with your faculty. You can sit with Tarun sir. He teaches very good Venn diagrams. Okay. Question number 19. Now, in critical reasoning, what I was saying, if I say CR is equal to RC. Yeah, why did I say this? RC is just a long version of CR. That's all. It's a long version of CR, and CR is a short version of RC. So, funda is the same. But here, since the passage is small, so it's always beneficial to read the passage, because it will not take me more than 2 to 3 minutes to read the passage, and then once I have read the passage, I should read the question, should be my next step, and my third step would be elimination of the answer choices rather than the selection of the answer choices. See, friends, what I am saying is, I am always repeating this, that elimination has to be a very important factor whenever we are doing these aptitude tests, right? Don't try to look for the right answer. Instead, try to eliminate the wrong answers, and you will never ever go wrong. For example, let me take a model question, question number 19. I'm just taking it. It says, as a developing nation faced with the task of ensuring speedy development, and I do one more thing, I always underline important words. As a developing nation faced with the task of ensuring speedy development, while at the same time safeguarding environment. So I know one thing, that there has to be some balance which the author is talking about between development and environment, right? That is what he's doing. Environment concerns, India needs to explore and establish forms and models of development that are sustainable, those which are usually environmentally safe, feasible over a long term, and are beneficial to several groups in the society. So he is saying three things. One is safety, second is feasibility over a long term, and third is being beneficial to many, right? Now, based on the above information, 4 conclusions as given below have been made. Which one of these logically follows from the information given above? Now, first option says that India should establish only sustainable models, whereas we were not talking about only sustainable models. We are talking about environmentally safe, feasible and beneficial to several group models. तो ये option आपका खत्म हो गया. Sustainable forms and models of development are important for India. Sustainable forms and models of development are important for India. Yes, that is what it was talking about. Speedy development while at the same time safeguarding environment. Establish forms and models of development that are sustainable. Those usually environmental safe, etc., etc. So अभी तक ये आंसर लग रहा है. Let's go ahead. Sustainability is more beneficial than speedy development for several groups in the society. No, he is not comparing anything. So this I can just close my eyes and just eliminate it. Sustainable models of development are always feasible over a long term. See, what he has done is, he has actually made, already made sustainability directly proportional to feasibility, which the author is not saying. The author is saying model sustainable hona chahiye, but apart from being sustainable, it should also be feasible. It's not saying that if a model is sustainable, it will become feasible. He's not saying that. So D also is not your answer choice. So by elimination and also by logic, we have come to answer B as our correct answer choice. Right, guys? Any doubts on question number 19 still? Any other questions where you have a doubt? Question number 20, 21, 24. Explain question 19 part B and 21 also, and question 20 also. So I think I'll take all the CR questions then. Question 19 part B. Sustainable forms and model of development are important for India. See, what is he saying? Developing nation hai India. What we have to do is, we have to safeguard our environment concerns. We need to explore and establish forms and models of development that are sustainable. Those are environmentally safe, feasible and beneficial. So what do we have to do? We have to focus on forms and models of sustainability. And that is exactly what B is saying. I hope B is clear. Ashok, is it clear? Clear, sir. Okay, thank you, Ashok. Question number 20. Huda government is facing problems in renewing some builder licenses. Why? Because these builders have failed to complete their work on time as stipulated. Oh God. So one thing which is very, very important over here is, Huda government will not issue licenses or renew licenses to people who have been not completing, who have not met the deadlines. Right? That is what the passage is saying. Based on the above information, 4 conclusions, etc., which on these logically follows. Builders have purposely not completed. ये हमें passage से पता नहीं चल रहा whether they have purposely not completed or whether there were another constraints. The passage does not say anything. So this goes beyond the scope of the passage. So it cannot be your answer. Huda government is giving unfair support to these builders. In fact, the passage is talking something which is contrary to this, which is opposite to this. It is saying that Huda government is facing problems in renewing some builder licenses. और हुडा गवर्नमेंट क्यों नहीं रिन्यू कर रही है? क्योंकि बिकॉज दीज बिल्डर्स हैव फेल्ड टू कम, not giving any unfair support. So this is your wrong answer. Renewal of builder licenses depends on the work done so far by the builders. Yes, this looks like an answer. Some builders have completed their work on time as stipulated. See, when it is saying in renewing some builder licenses, I cannot assume that some have not done. If I say some, A is not B, I cannot definitely say that some A is B, because there always exists a possibility that no A is B. हो सकता है ये जो सम है, ये सम ही वो लोग हों, सारे लोग ये सम हों पूरे के पूरे मैटर में. You know, that might happen. So I cannot say that D is correct, because D says some builders have completed their work on time. No, not necessary. Renewal of builder licenses depends on the work done so far by the builders. Yes, definitely. Because that is why it is the government is facing a problem. So I hope this question number 20 is clear. Is it? Yes, sir. Okay, so let's move to the next question. This was a good question, and it actually required some understanding of the line that was written over there. So let's understand this. It says, only when the power of love overcomes the love of power will the world finally know peace. तो ये क्या कह रहा है? It is saying that शांति तभी आएगी दुनिया में, the peace would be there only if, this is an only if condition. Right? When would it happen? When the power of love, जब प्यार की ताकत के प्यार को जीत लेगी. My Hindi is not so good, but I'm still trying. Okay, guys? So that is what it is saying. It is saying that peace will happen when the power of love will be greater than the love of power. That is how you can write the equation. See, you can do some mathematics also in critical reasoning. Which of the following is an assumption in the statement? The power of love will overcome the love of power. He is not definite about it, but he says if it happens then peace will be there. But he is not saying certainly that the power of love will overcome the love of power, so it is incorrect. Love and power are incompatible, we do not know. He is not showing us the relationship between love and power. The world is not peaceful at present. This looks like a likely answer, but let's go forward. The world is peaceful if there is no love of power. No. The world is peaceful if there is no love of power. No, no, no. See, why would it not happen? If I say the world is peaceful if there is no love of power, you know, you cannot say that. There might be other disturbing elements. And here, according to the passage, this no love of power should always be substituted by power of love. It's only when power of love is greater than love of power, then there would be peace in the world. So power of love is an essential element for the world to be at peace, and it has to be greater than the love of power. That is what he's saying. तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि अगर नो लव ऑफ पावर होगा तो वर्ल्ड पीसफुल होगा. वर्ल्ड पीसफुल तब तक नहीं हो सकता जब तक पावर ऑफ लव नहीं होगी. हाउ कैन वी से दैट देयर इज नो पीस इन द वर्ल्ड एट प्रेजेंट? Abhinav, very true. I was also stuck like you when I was doing this question. You know, it's a good question, that means. You know, what have I done? I have eliminated 3 options. I'm left with the best possible option. First of all, let me mark that. And now let me explain you, when I put some more thinking time on it, then I could figure out one thing. It says that only when this will happen. You know, if I say that only when the voters vote, there would be democracy. That means, what am I saying? That there is no democracy right now. No democracy. Only when voters vote, there will be democracy. only when I travel to Goa, I will be at peace. That definitely means that I am not in Goa right now. I hope that clears the query for you now. Yes, Abhinav? Okay, great. So, sorry, not B, but C is your answer. Let's go to the next question. Question 22. Any doubts in this, guys? Again, it's a Venn diagram. Not a Venn diagram exactly. It's a logical consistency question. Any doubts in question number 22? Yes, sir, please explain this. Okay. I hope all of you will be familiar with the concept of if and only if. Yeah, this is what it is talking about. It says if there is traffic light, if there is traffic, there is no light. So what does it mean? There is no light always when there is traffic, right? So क्या होगा? ट्रैफिक है तो लाइट नहीं होगी. बट इफ आई से लाइट नहीं है तो क्या इसका मतलब ये जरूरी है कि ट्रैफिक नहीं था? नो, देयर कैन बी अदर रीजंस एज वेल. बट इफ आई से देयर इज लाइट, that definitely means that there was no traffic. But if I say there was no traffic, again I cannot comment upon the light, right? So this is the first premise. Second says there is dusk only if there is no light. There is dusk only if there is no light. So what it means is if there is dusk, there is an absence of light, right? But if there is no dusk, I cannot comment upon the light. And similarly, if I say there is no light, I cannot comment upon dusk. But if I say there is light, there cannot be any dusk. Why? Because this is a condition which is necessary but not sufficient. Whereas this condition is a condition which is sufficient but not necessary. Right. Now, there is dusk only if there is no light. ये हमने कर लिया. There are stars only if there is dusk. So let's take the third condition also into account. There are stars only if there is dusk. So star तभी होगा जब dusk है, right? But at the same time, if there is dusk, I cannot comment upon the status of the star. If there are no stars, again I cannot comment on the status of the dusk. But if there is no dusk, then definitely the stars are not there, right? Now what you should do is, once you have written this down, you should always look only at the certainties. This is a certainty, this is a certainty. Here, this is a certainty, this is a certainty. Here, this is a certainty and this is a certainty, right? So, now let's look at the conclusions. Anytime there is light, there is traffic. Anytime there is light, there is traffic. Now, is it happening that anytime there is light, there is traffic? Instead, it's the ulta. It's saying that if there is traffic, there is no light. And if there is light, there is no traffic. You look at this, if there is light, there is no traffic, right? So it goes incorrect. There is traffic only when there is no dusk. There is traffic only if there is no dusk. So what should happen? Of dusk, there is no dusk, what is happening? If there is no dusk in this case, I am not getting a certainty. If there is no dusk in this case, there are no stars. But is the stars and the traffic related? Kuch nahi hai. Bata do. Now it says stars are there only when there is no light. So stars कब है? जब dusk है. और dusk कब है? जब no light है. Right? So obviously this statement, when there is dusk, there is no light, definitely it means that. And when there is dusk, there are stars. That is what it means. So I will come up with C as the answer. D says if there is no light, there is traffic. No. instead it's the ulta. If there is traffic, there is no light. So C becomes your answer. I hope it is clear. Yes or no? Please type either yes or no if you have understood this. Okay, great, great. So I hope you have understood how to do these type of questions now. Whenever you get the question, break them into necessary and sufficient conditions. So जो if वाला condition होता है, that is a condition which is, okay, let me just remove everything and show it to you. So the condition which is if condition, it means the condition is sufficient but not necessary. So what does it mean? It means that every time the cause is happening, it will lead to the effect. But the effect can happen independent of the cause as well, right? And what does it mean? If the effect does not happen, that means the cause has not happened. But if the cause has not happened, the effect may or may not happen, right? So this is what the sufficient but not the necessary condition is. And only if is the reverse of this. It's the condition which is necessary but not sufficient. So if the effect happens, that means the cause must have happened. But if the cause happens, I cannot comment on the effect. If the cause does not happen, the effect cannot happen. But if the effect has not happened, again I cannot comment upon the cause. Right? So keep this in mind then. Abhinav, really do you want me to explain you question 23? Would you give it a try yourself? I think it's very, very similar. Not now? Okay, great. Shivani, do you really want me to explain why A is not the answer? Yes, sir. Okay, so let me look at question number 23. He writes whenever he is angry. So अगर वो angry है, तो क्या करेगा? Write करेगा. But अगर वो लिख रहा है, I do not know whether he is angry or not. Right? But if he is not writing, definitely he is not angry, right? And if he is not angry, again I cannot comment upon the writing. Now let me take the next case. It is cloudy only if he is angry. So for something to become cloudy, the anger has to be there, okay? But if the anger is there, I cannot comment whether it's cloudy or not. But if definitely the anger is not there, then definitely it cannot be cloudy. And if it is not cloudy, again I cannot comment. Now he is angry only if he is hungry. He is angry only if he is hungry. So if he is angry, that means definitely he is hungry, right? But if he is hungry, I cannot comment upon whether he is angry or not. If he is not hungry, definitely he cannot be angry, right? And if he is not angry, I cannot again comment. Now it says he writes whenever he is hungry. See, when was he writing? He was writing whenever he was angry, right? But if every time he is hungry, can you comment that he is angry? You cannot comment, right, Shivani? I hope this is clear now. If he is hungry, does it mean that he is angry? Okay, great. So, see, it's not rocket science. It's very, very simple. If you guys will do some practice with these, you'll become clearer. And as I tell you, you'll crack your exam like anything. Vaibhav is saying, how do we interpret the word whenever? Whenever means always, which translates into if. That is, the condition is sufficient but not necessary. Right? Keep this in mind. Abhijit Singh, you have come in late. We have discussed many passages, and of course we will not be able to discuss all the passages. Prashant says, sir, could you please draw a diagram on BI left side of the screen? Okay. Prashant, what you mean to say is I should draw the diagram over here. Okay. Any doubts in question number 24? Any other question in verbal ability where you have a doubt, guys? Now we have already, I think, just 10 minutes left, and Tarun also has to do one question. Question number 27. Okay. Manas, what is your question? In 24th, why A is not the answer? I'll come back to question number 24. Question 27 says, fossils of extinct insects tell us that some of them were very similar to those living now, except that many ancient insects were much larger than their modern relatives. Which of the following is an assumption in the statement? Okay, great. So again, assumption is something which is taken for granted, that is what I said. So which of the following is an assumption in the statement made above? The majority of ancient insects were similar to their modern relatives. Now, if you look at this option of question number 27, what is happening is we are talking about an assumption. And what is the conclusion here? Fossils of extinct insects tell us that some of them were very similar to those living now. So the very first thing the author is saying that extinct insects के जो fossils हैं, they are telling us that there was a similarity between the modern and the extinct guys, except that many ancient insects were much larger than their modern relatives. Right. Now you are saying is the majority of ancient insects, and here it is saying that some of them were very similar. So you cannot equate majority with some, which will be incorrect, right? You cannot have an equation over here. So option A is incorrect. So I hope that answers your question, Prashant. Does it? Dinesh was asking me question number 27. Okay. Yeah, Dinesh, I'm coming back. Then I'll explain the entire question. Size is the only thing that differentiates with modern insects from their ancestors? No. There was some similarity also. Fossils of extinct insects are useful in determining the nature of ancient insects. Yes, that is what he's saying. What he's saying is, some of them were very similar. How do we get to know that some of them were very similar? Because we studied the fossils, right? And with the help of these fossils, we actually came to understand about the size of the insects over there. Therefore, C becomes your correct answer choice. But again, I said we'll eliminate all the answer choices. Almost all extinct insects have modern relatives that for the most part are similar to them. No, we do not know. Almost all. नहीं, वहाँ तो some की बात कर रहा था. So D also is not your answer. C becomes your correct answer choice. I hope it is clear, Mr. Reddy. Please say why B is not the answer. Size is the only thing that differentiates. See, what he is saying is, here the passage is not talking about that size is the only thing on which we can differentiate between the modern and the ancient insects. Although the passage is talking about size, but it is talking about size as, I do not know whether it's talking about size as one of the factors or is it talking about it as only factor. Definitely I cannot infer from the passage whether it's talking about size as only one of the factors or is it talking about size as the only factor. So I hope, Dinesh, is it clear to you? Size is the only, what is except that? Size is the only thing that differentiates. Please understand what it wants to say. It is saying, Dinesh, that size is the only differentiator, which the passage is not saying. He is saying fossils of extinct insects tell us that some of them were very similar. Fossils are telling us, except that Except what? Except the size. So when I'm saying except the size is actually one of the factors. It's not the only factor. So it's one of the factors but not the only factor. So I stand corrected. It's only one of the factors, not the only factor. So again, B cannot be my answer option. I hope is it clear to you, Dinesh, now? Okay, great. Manas is constantly asking me for question number 24. Manas is saying that, Manas, what do you want to know in question number 24? Do you want me to solve the whole question? Okay, I think then, if possible, please sir. Okay, then we'll do it. A recent study has found that child care quality matters. So, पहली चीज क्या है? Care quality is supposed to matter. Caregivers with higher levels of education and who worked in settings with fewer children per adult. So, one thing is education plus fewer children were more sensitive and responsive to children and provided a more stimulating environment. When care environmentalists were more stimulating and well organized, children had better vocabularies, more advanced attention and memory skills. Okay, great. So they were giving the advantages to children, right? That is what was happening. In contrast, children who spent time in front of the TV showed more behavioral problems, had smaller vocabularies and did less well on maths problems. Great. So basically television is the curse over here, right? I am also very fearful with a small daughter. Anyway, jokes apart. So television showed more behavioral problems, had smaller vocabularies and did less well on maths problems. So basically what is happening? The power of the educators who were well educated, who were giving more time, they were giving a lot of advantages to the children. Whereas the children left on their own in front of television, etc., were not able to have, they were displaying behavioral problems, they had smaller vocabularies and they did less well on maths problems. Which of the following statements is an assumption in the above argument? Again, we are finding an assumption. Now, if you look at question number 24, I know most of you would be tempted to mark option A because you are saying child care is the most important factor in ensuring a successful life for a child. Tell me one thing, guys, how do you relate success? Can you relate success to better vocabulary? Can you relate success to advanced attention and memory? I think a person having all this might not still be successful. So I cannot relate success to this. The passage nowhere tells me. It just talks about these things as the benefits, not as the success. You cannot ensure a successful life by giving child care. And moreover, here it is saying child care. And instead, if you want me to debate upon it, I can say, have the option said quality child care. Right, then also I would have been tempted to mark. But since it is saying child care, I will not mark it. Second, way in which I have eliminated is this. Better vocab, ये सब success नहीं translate कर रहा है. Right, so A is not your answer, definitely not. Coming to option number B. Time spent in front of the television is not very stimulating for children. That is exactly what it was talking about. Right, so let's keep this into account right now. A stimulating environment increases a child's vocabulary. Not in the case of all the children, right? It's saying that there were various advantages. Various advantages were vocabularies, advanced attention, memory skills, better vocabularies, right? So it's not necessary that all the children will find an increase in vocabulary. So you cannot make the sum set to an all set. So again, C goes for a toss. Stimulating environments supply children with more opportunities to use their memory skills. So this option again is very, very similar to your option C. And moreover, when I'm talking about a stimulating environment, yes, it may guarantee all this, but these are in isolation. Had the options been mixed, I would have said that C and D would be a good option. But since they are in isolation, C and D are not good options, right? So B is the correct answer choice. Manas says, sir, here it is assumed that child care is proportional to success. कहाँ लिखा है मानस ऐसा? So, where is it saying, Manas? No. When we talk about an assumption, please understand, assumption has to answer the why of the author's argument. The author's argument is not talking about success, it's talking just about benefits. I hope that is clear to you, Manas, now. Assumption is different from a presumption, please understand that. It's saying that yes, there are 1, 2, 3, these are the benefits which are coming in. But it's not saying that it will ensure a successful career for a child. Why are we nullifying C and D? Can you please come up again? Yes, surely Abhinav, I can always come up. A simulating environment increases a child's vocabulary. That is not the only thing a simulating environment is doing. It's one of the factors. Similarly, D is one of the factors. If I have an option which is more important and more holistic than these two options, I'll go for that. That's why I'm stressing on the elimination choice. And moreover, if you look at the argument, it is, the author is critical. See, the author is appreciative about stimulating environment and the author is critical about television, right? So he's coming up with a conclusion. What is the conclusion? Conclusion is, a recent study has found that child care quality matters. This is the conclusion. And he's just giving supporting facts in the form of stimulating child care, facts in the form of spending TV. Right? So, all this is just the supporting fact, and this is the conclusion of the author. So when I'm taking an assumption, I have to consider the why of the conclusion. Why is the author saying this? Why is the recent study saying this? The recent study is saying this because of a very simple reason, that children who are are provided with a stimulating environment, they are becoming better in certain things. Children who are not being given a stimulating environment are becoming bad at certain things. That is what is happening. Right? So why is it saying? It's saying that because children, who are spending time in television, the time which is spent in front of the television is not a very stimulating time. I hope that clarifies the query. And difference between B and C is that they are just addressing one part of it. They are not addressing the entire holistic argument. Ashok is saying presumption and assumption. Presumption, Ashok, is something which we preconceive. If you have an enemy, you will always go with a presumption that, he'll do harm to me. But an assumption would be something, even if I'm going to my enemy for a meeting, I might go with one of the possible assumptions is that he'll do harm, but another possible assumption could be that something fruitful might come out of it. Presumption is something which I bring from outside into the argument. And in critical reasoning and RC, you should never ever bring anything from outside. Abhishek, is the query clear to you? Abhinav, yeah, thanks. Okay, any other question? So I think now I will hand over to Tarun for some time. Tarun wanted to discuss Weber was saying, appreciate your patience, sir. You rock. Okay, thank you, Weber. Thanks a lot. Tarun, would you like to add something? Tarun, are you there? Any other question, guys, in the meanwhile? Question number 25, Prashant. Okay. So since the time Tarun comes to us, so let's look at question number 25.
Yeah, I'm there.
Tarun is there. So, Tarun, I think you'll have to be patient for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Question number 25 में क्या है? It can be done with the help of a Venn diagram. Just try it out. And I'll share my email ID with you guys, so then you can, if still there is a doubt, you can write to me over there, because we are running short of time, really running short of time right now. Somebody asked me a very pertinent question and said, sir, can we solve critical reasoning using Venn diagrams? See, if it is not a passage, and even if it is a passage, and if it involves some kind of logic, where the if, only if, some, all conditions are used, yes, definitely you can use a Venn diagram, but otherwise, you will not be able to use a Venn diagram. How can I improve my LR for UPSC? Practice. Practice, and perfect practice makes a man perfect. That is what it is. Practice as much as you can. Right, so I'm sharing my email ID with you guys over here. In case of any doubts, then just shoot a mail to me. So I'm writing it down, please note it down. It is NISHANT. There is a dot in between, and then there is PANT @careerlauncher.com. So it's nishant.pant@careerlauncher.com. Right? So you can always send your queries by mail. Tarun, over to you.
Nishant, what question is left?
There are many questions which are left. In fact, now kids are saying that, sir, thank you for your patience.
But I have covered, I guess, the quant part and LR part and DI part.
You wanted to take up some question, I think.
Yeah.
Will come to
just send your questions again, please. All of you.
In quant, guys, now, please.
In quant, yeah, okay. I have already given some answers using chat box. So
okay. So then I think. So guys, all the best, and all the best for the next mock. So I think we'll close the webinar. Tarun can also share his email ID over there.
Yeah, sure. Just hold on. It's tarun.malik@careerlauncher.com.
So thank you, ladies and
Manish
gentlemen.
is asking for question number 39. Just hold on. Nishant, I will hold up, right?
Okay.
You just carry on. Okay. Yeah.
Question number 39.
Manish is asking 39. Just pass the present try to me and
Okay.
you can go out.
Tarun, I cannot pass the present.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm logging out, guys. All the best.
Yeah. Manish, what is your doubt in question number 39? There are three methods I can tell you. Okay. In the first one, I told you that if this is 6, this is 8, right? You just remember these four Pythagorean templates, so you'll be able to solve all the questions which is based on Pythagorean templates. So all the numbers which are given is either a multiple of these numbers, right? So you can see it's double, so 6 and 8 is given. So the hypotenuse has to be 10 only. Okay. So if this is 10, let's assume the height is h. Now, area of this triangle NSR can be calculated in two ways. Either if we assume the base of the triangle as SR and the height is h. So area is nothing but half into 10 into h, right? And again, this angle is 90 degree, angle M, right? So you can assume MR as a base and MS is the hypotenuse. So again, the area can be written as half 6 into 8. Gives you h is equal to 4.8. So length into breadth will give you the answer in that case. Right? Second approach, I told you about the similarity method, but that is quite a lengthy method, so you should not apply this. Third is this, that if there is a same base on the triangle and the parallelogram, and the height is also same. See there. In these two cases, the base of the triangle and this parallelogram is same as well as height is same. Area of parallelogram is nothing but base into height. Area of triangle is half base into height. So can I say that area of triangle is nothing but half of the parallelogram always, which applies here? So if I am able to find the area of the triangle using this, half base into height, half 6 into 8, 24, I just need to double of this, which is 48. Manish, is it clear? Last method is this. If I explain it, okay. If there are two triangles with same base and same height, the area is same. But if there is a triangle and a parallelogram with same base and same height, the area of the triangle is half of the parallelogram. You see here the area of the base of this triangle and the rectangle is also parallelogram, right? Rectangle is also parallelogram, okay? So area of this triangle and the rectangle is same, SR, and the height is also same. That means area of this triangle has to be half of the rectangle. Area of triangle I have already calculated as half 6 into 8, which is 24. Okay. I just need to double of this, because the area of rectangle has to be double of the 24 area of rectangle. Manage for it. Any other question which is left in the quant part or the logical reasoning or BI part? Ashok Nishant is left. What is the question number 75? You can definitely, Ashok, you can definitely mail Nishant about your query, right? He will answer you. You all got my email ID also, so you can Neil, your query is about Manish 52. E minus means wife. Wife of P is CA. Okay. Okay. There are 2 sons, 3 wives, 2 wives, 3 males and 2 females. Architect is the son of lawyer. Now see this. If you put Q here, its mother is engineer. Left, because you cannot put it here because it is a lawyer. Okay, it cannot be P because you already put Q here. Put Q here, right? So the only option left with P is this one. Okay, but in that case CA will be the mother of Q because Q आपने यहाँ put किया है. According to this, engineer should be the mother of Q. So Q cannot be here, right? So the only option, because Q has some mother, so Q has to be here only. That means, and then S is a son of T, so S has to be here, right? Amar, with why you can't see? I am drawing it on the board only. Okay. So if S is there, okay, then S is the son of T. Okay. Now P and CA is again, there is only one option left, that P is here and CA is here. But S is also a son of T, so T has to be the CA, and they are husband and wife. And S is the male, so only one member is left, which is R, so he has to be the female. And because Q's mother is engineer, so R has to be engineer. This is a complete diagram we can make. Manish, got it? Okay.